The most advanced fighter jet in the world sits in Israeli hangars right now, paid for with American taxpayer dollars. But here's what nobody talks about. This wasn't supposed to happen. The F-35 Lightning, America's crown jewel of aviation technology, was never meant to give any nation such a decisive edge over its neighbors. Yet today, Israel operates 39 of these stealth monsters, with 36 more on the way, making them the only Middle Eastern power with this capability. What started as a strategic partnership has become something far more complex, and the consequences are reshaping military balance across the entire region. Welcome to Jet Insight, where we uncover the stories behind the world's most powerful military machines. The story begins in 2010, when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Ehud Barak made a decision that would forever change the military landscape of the Middle East. On October 7, 2010, Israeli Ministry of Defense Director General Ehud Shani signed a deal in New York City that seemed straightforward enough: 20 F-35 fighter jets for nearly $3 billion. But this wasn't just any aircraft purchase. This was America handing over its most classified aviation technology to a foreign nation. The F-35 Lightning II represents decades of American engineering excellence. Built by Lockheed Martin with a Pratt & Whitney F135 engine, delivering 178 kilonewtons of thrust, this aircraft can reach speeds of 1,700 kilometers per hour at Mach 1.6. Its stealth capabilities make it nearly invisible to enemy radar, while its advanced sensors can gather intelligence that would take other systems weeks to collect. When former Israeli Air Force Chief Major General Amir Eshel called it game-changing, he wasn't exaggerating. If you believe America builds the world's finest military aircraft, type "proud" in the comments below. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The United States initially refused to allow Israel to integrate their own electronic warfare systems into the aircraft's built-in electronic suite. This wasn't just about maintaining American control. It was about protecting the most sensitive military technology on Earth. However, Israel had other plans. Israeli engineers developed what they called a plug-and-play feature, essentially creating a workaround that would allow their own electronics to be added to the main computer system. They wanted to fit their own external jamming pods and integrate Israeli-made weapon systems. After intense negotiations between Israeli Air Force officers, Pentagon officials, and Lockheed Martin representatives, something remarkable happened in July 2011. America agreed. This decision would prove to be a turning point that nobody fully anticipated at the time. The first Israeli F-35s weren't just American aircraft with Israeli pilots. They became something entirely different: the F-35I Adir, meaning mighty in Hebrew. Israeli defense companies like Elbit Systems began producing specialized electronic warfare equipment specifically for these aircraft. Rafael Advanced Defense Systems started developing smaller versions of Python and Darby missiles designed to fit within the aircraft's internal weapons bay. Israel Military Industries created penetration bombs configured exactly like the American Mark 82 500-pound bomb. By December 2017, 9 F-35I aircraft became operational with the Israeli Air Force stationed at Nevatim Air Base in the Negev Desert. These weren't just any operational aircraft. They were the most advanced combat planes outside of the United States Air Force itself. Then came May 22, 2018, a date that sent shockwaves through military circles worldwide. Israeli Air Force Commander Major General Amikam Norkin announced that Israel had become the first country in the world to use the F-35 in actual combat operations. The implications were staggering. American taxpayers had funded the development of technology that was now being used in combat missions they had no control over. The aircraft designed to maintain American air superiority was now establishing Israeli dominance across the Middle East. What made this even more complex was the level of customization Israel had achieved. Unlike every other F-35 operator in the world, Israel received something unprecedented: a testbed F-35 aircraft delivered in November 2020. This was the only example of a testbed F-35 delivered to any air force outside the United States. This aircraft, stationed at the Flight Test Center at Tel Nof Air Base, allowed Israel to experiment with modifications and capabilities that other nations could only dream of accessing. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, it gets more complicated. By 2022, reports began surfacing about the extensive use of these aircraft in combat operations. Israeli F-35s were involved in strikes across multiple theaters, from Gaza to Syria and eventually to targets 1,700 kilometers away in Yemen during July 2024. Each mission demonstrated capabilities that went far beyond what America had originally intended when the partnership began. The financial arrangements behind these aircraft reveal another layer of complexity. The initial deal in 2010 was structured so that Israeli defense contractors would receive more than $4 billion worth of work producing F-35 components for other clients. This meant that American taxpayers weren't just funding Israeli aircraft. They were funding an Israeli aerospace industry that would compete with American companies for future contracts. Defense Ministry Director General Udi Shani stated that beyond the jet's operational capacity, a significant factor in closing the deal included agreements that would involve Israeli defense contractors in producing the F-35 for other clients worldwide. This created a situation where American technology was being manufactured internationally under Israeli oversight. The strategic implications became clear when other Middle Eastern nations began expressing interest in acquiring F-35s themselves. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other regional powers watched as Israel gained an unprecedented advantage and began requesting their own access to this technology. This is where American policymakers began to realize the complexity of what they had created. The concept of qualitative military edge has been a cornerstone of American policy toward Israel since the Johnson administration, formally codified into law in 2008. This doctrine requires that Israel maintain superior military capabilities compared to any potential adversaries in the region. However, the F-35 program created a situation where maintaining this edge meant preventing other American allies from accessing the same technology. When the UAE requested F-35s as part of the Abraham Accords normalization agreement, Congress demanded certification that such sales would not diminish Israel's qualitative military edge and would pose no vulnerabilities to American military systems. The complexity of these requirements led to the Biden administration eventually abandoning the UAE sale entirely, citing concerns about the country's military ties to China. But Israel's F-35 program continued expanding. In July 2023, Israel approved the purchase of a third squadron of F-35 aircraft in a deal worth $3 billion. On June 4, 2024, the Israeli Defense Ministry officially signed the agreement with the United States to acquire 25 additional advanced stealth fighters manufactured by Lockheed Martin. These aircraft will be delivered starting in 2028, bringing Israel's total F-35 the I fleet to 75 units. The timing of this expansion raised questions among American policymakers and military officials. During the same period, reports emerged about Israeli F-35s being targeted during Iran's missile and drone barrage on April 13, 2024. The Nevatim Air Base, where Israel's F-35 fleet is stationed, came under direct attack, though the aircraft reportedly survived intact. This incident highlighted how American technology had become central to regional conflicts that the United States wasn't directly involved in. Meanwhile, Israeli officials began expressing concerns about potential F-35 sales to other regional powers. When discussions surfaced about selling F-35s to Saudi Arabia, senior Israeli officials told their American counterparts they opposed such sales. They argued that if America agreed to sell the warplanes to Riyadh, it could set a precedent for Turkey to acquire them as well. This created an interesting dynamic where Israel, having received American technology, was now influencing American decisions about sharing that same technology with other allies. The financial scope of continued support became evident in the aftermath of October 7, 2023. American officials acted quickly to provide new F-35 weapons capabilities and spare parts to Israel. According to congressional testimony, the F-35 program successfully accelerated F-35 weapons capabilities and increased spare parts supply rates following the attack. This rapid response demonstrated how deeply integrated the Israeli F-35 program had become with American military logistics and support systems. Speaking of military excellence and the brave men and women who operate these incredible machines, if you're a military veteran, currently serving, or simply passionate about military aviation and defense technology, we'd love to have you join our community of like-minded individuals. Whether you've served in the Air Force, Navy, Army, Marines, or any branch of our armed forces, your experience and insights are valuable to our growing family of defense enthusiasts. Drop a comment below and let us know about your military background or your interest in aviation technology. As of 2024, Israel operates multiple F-35 squadrons at Nevatim Air Base. The 141st, 116th, and 117th Squadrons. Each of these units represents capabilities that extend far beyond traditional air superiority missions. The integration of Israeli-developed systems has created aircraft that can perform intelligence gathering, electronic warfare, and precision strike missions with effectiveness that rivals or exceeds American capabilities. The November 2024 edition of another major aircraft deal further complicated the situation. Israel signed a $5.2 billion agreement to procure 25 advanced F-15IA fighter jets, with options for 25 more. These Boeing-manufactured aircraft, to be delivered starting in 2031, will complement the F-35 fleet and provide enhanced range and payload capacity for long-range missions. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant stated that this F-15 squadron, alongside the 3rd F-35 squadron, represents a historic enhancement of our air power and strategic reach, capabilities that proved crucial during the current war. The cumulative effect of these programs has created a situation where Israel possesses air power capabilities that extend far beyond regional defense. With F-35s capable of conducting stealth operations and F-15s providing heavy payload delivery, Israel now has the ability to project power across vast distances with minimal risk of detection or interception. This capability expansion has not gone unnoticed by other regional powers or by American oversight bodies. Recent reports indicate that various organizations and some congressional members have begun questioning the extent of technology transfer and the implications for American strategic interests. Some have called for greater oversight of how American-supplied military technology is being used in regional conflicts. However, American military leadership continues to emphasize the importance of the partnership. The State Department's Bureau of Political Military Affairs maintains that steadfast support for Israel's security has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for every U.S. administration since the presidency of Harry S. Truman. The current situation reflects a complex balance between supporting a key ally and managing the broader implications of advanced technology transfer. As of 2025, the United States has 751 active foreign military sales cases with Israel valued at $39.2 billion, with F-35 Joint Strike Fighter aircraft being among the priority initiatives. Looking at the broader implications, the Israeli F-35 program has essentially created a new model for international military technology sharing. The level of customization and integration allowed has set precedents that other nations are now citing in their own requests for American military technology. The challenge facing American policymakers is managing these precedents while maintaining strategic advantages and alliance relationships across multiple regions simultaneously. Conclusion: the F-35 program with Israel reveals the complex realities of modern military partnerships. What began as a straightforward aircraft sale has evolved into something far more intricate, a deep technological partnership that has reshaped regional military balance and created new precedents for international cooperation. American engineering excellence, combined with Israeli innovation and operational experience, has produced capabilities that neither nation could have achieved independently. The F-35 Itamar Adir represents not just advanced military technology, but the evolution of how allied nations can collaborate to maintain security in an increasingly complex world. The men and women of both the United States Air Force and the Israeli Air Force who operate and maintain these incredible machines deserve recognition for their professionalism and dedication. Their expertise ensures that this remarkable technology serves its intended purpose of maintaining peace through strength As these programs continue to evolve, they demonstrate the enduring value of strong partnerships between democratic nations committed to defending shared values and interests. What do you think about the complexity of modern military partnerships? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this analysis valuable, consider subscribing for more in-depth coverage of military aviation and defense technology. Good work to everyone who made it this far. Your interest in understanding these important topics helps ensure informed discussion about defense and security issues. Until next time, keep watching the skies.